Whoop. I don't think this mic is working. The thing is, it's kind of iffy because disconnect. It's kind of thing. I have to go here. Let's do it like this. Or this. No, I don't think the mic is working. Hello, hello. Okay. Hello, hello. Yeah, it works now. It should work now. Screen capture off. The mic is from here. All right. I think we can start. Just gonna shut the door. All right. I think we can start. So, hello everyone, and welcome to our regular Wednesday meetup, on which we basically go through the news of the week, what happened, what is good, what is bad, how it works, how it doesn't work, and what are some cool stuffs that we can do with AI nowadays. I'm gonna be your host. My name is Martin. I've been doing these meetups for over a year now, and I just like to share the knowledge and talk about stuff that excite me with people that are similarly aligned. Without further ado, we'll start with a couple of slides. We'll go through the news, and then we just break out into a discussion. It's a fireside chat format, so whenever you want to add something or if you want to ask about something, don't be shy, just shout out. Just be mindful of the rule that just one person should talk at a time, so we all have a good time. All right, now let's start with what the last week gave us. What are we going to cover? We are going to cover Google's very fresh and recent I/O, which was basically all about Gemini, about the new stuff that you can do with it, how they upgraded it. 3.5 flash dropped, which is super fast. They have a new plan for $100, and it's actually quite good, and it's kind of good value for money. They lock you into their ecosystem, but more on that later. Claude for small businesses. If you have a $20 plan and you have a small business, Claude Cowork actually gives you pre-configured connectors right off the bat, which is not so bad. They're going very much the way of the Apple. Let's make it as user-friendly as possible. Let's try to bake in as much as we can. And this is their entry.
Don't know about, what are connectors?
Connectors. If you want to connect your AI agents to something like Notion, QuickBooks, and other external services. So right now you not only have the option to connect, but they actually give you a full workflow of how to operate it, how to go from point A to point B. So you can ship it to your employees and it will be super easy.
Like an ANA type of connection or something else?
Kinda, sorta, not quite.
Okay.
Who works with Cowork over here? Yeah? What's your experience?
Good. Yeah. Just like saves time, works on like files and basic images and stuff.
Yeah, it's mostly MCPs, internal CLIs. This is part of the thing that I'll touch upon, and the differentiating factor of when you build your own versus when you use hosted services such as this one. Another thing, Codex goes on-prem. Codex is pretty much an open source CLI. There is a Codex team behind it, for better or worse. Those guys are actually moving in the pretty cool direction, and they're adding and embedding more ways and options of how to work and operate Codex without it being all about OpenAI or without it being all about their own ecosystem, which, sorry, in my books is actually quite cool. XAI has been dissolved. It's gone. Poof. It was absorbed into SpaceX, and currently it's SpaceX AI. There might be some turbulence, so we'll try to prepare ourselves for that, especially if you're using Grok. Gaussian splatting. I haven't seen or heard many people talk about this. It's so freaking amazing. It lets you do anything you want to an image, turn it into an interactive experience, and especially from a filmmaker / ad perspective, it is quite cool because it solves for lighting and it solves for a lot of things that you normally would have to render for hours and hours and hours. So we'll take a look into that and how it actually works, what it is. AI is replacing IT departments. Now, we kind of could have seen this coming, so it's already happening. The interesting shift that is being observed, that yes, traditional developers are being let go, but at the same time, they're hiring people who are good with AI. So it's sort of like a weird dissonance, like, oh, you're a developer, bye-bye. But at the same time, we're hiring a developer that can work with these AI tools. It is weird, but it is what it is. Anthropic actually is making quite a lot of money. They tripled their revenue, they committed to be ad-free, and they're printing cash pretty much. So we'll go through that. What does it actually mean for the entire ecosystem? How are these contracts shaped, and where can you kind of squeeze yourself in if you're building something that is AI native? And as usual, we'll go through some of the popular repos of the week. If something is there and it's for free and it's cool, just get it, work with it, contribute to it. It's a cool way of doing things. So, Google's I/O. The most notable thing, in my opinion, is Gemini Spark, which is essentially Google's OpenClaw. Like, it's meant to live in a cloud, it's meant to run automations, heartbeats, and all of these things that actually make an AI agent, a local AI agent, good. So if you're familiar with Claude Code, it can run for quite a long time on its own. Codex CLI currently with goals can do the same. It can keep reiterating and basically just go and go and go until the task is finished. Gemini didn't really have anything, no answer to this problem. You kind of had to hack your way around it. Now they introduced Spark. It is very much aimed at small and medium-sized businesses. They say it's for power users and developers as well. Gemini usually is not the best with code, but they're claiming their latest model, 3.5 Flash, is actually pretty good at all of this. And we are supposed to be getting the Gemini 3.5 Pro later this month, which could be interesting. Downside of all of this is that you are pretty much locked into the Google's ecosystem. It doesn't work similar to OpenAI, where your subscription can be used for external services or for some cool tools that you make yourself. Gemini is very much constrained to the ecosystem of Google, which, for better or worse, forces you to use their own tools. Now, for the better, this usage actually counts towards VO, for video generation, for Nano Banana, for image generation, for Stitch, for all of the cool things in the Google's AI lab. For the worse, you have to use most of these things from their own web interface. They still don't have a shim that allows you to utilize the subscription to actually generate the images or videos or something else. So whatever you're currently working with, you need a video, you have to Alt-Tab, go into the video generation to their own web interface and basically just continue the flow from there. What is cool about this, and specifically about their model 3.5, is that they're actually 3 times faster than any other frontier model on the market. With your GPT 5.5 or your Claude Opus for 7, you can get up to 75 to 80 tokens per second. With this latest Gemini 3.5 Flash, I don't want to say they're guaranteeing, but it was measured that it runs at a rate of over 200 tokens per second, which is incredibly powerful, especially for the Spark posture. So if it's agentic and you need it to run on the background continuously for a long time, it actually runs quite fast compared to any other frontier model on the market, including the open source Chinese models, which are generally slower than your GPT or your Claude Opus. This is incredibly fast. So it might be worth playing around with it, because if you can find even internal use case for your business or for your internal team to go fast with this, we're very much heading to a multi-agentic era where you will utilize different companies for whatever their strengths are, and your job will be to unite it all together. So, sorry. Yeah. Okay, I thought you were raising that. New plan that they introduced, $100 a month, apparently for devs, creators, and power users. Includes the Spark access, which is quite cool. They are gauging it against the Claude Max for 200 and ChatGPT Pro for 100, but even this one was introduced very recently. It used to be 200, and they also have a $200 plan as far as I know. Aluminium OS is an Android-based Chrome OS replacement. A desktop interface with dock, virtual desktops, link to iOS was spotted somewhere over there. And Google Search is announcing its biggest upgrade in 30 years. AI native overhaul. Yay! All of your SEO work and all of the blood, sweat, and tears that you put into appeasing the Google gods will be pretty much just taken away from you. Not cool. Android 17 is supposed to hit the market soon as well, which is cool. I personally like Android and working with it. Yeah, what's up?
Does anybody know if that Aluminium OS can be run in a virtual machine on like a Mac or a Linux box?
That is an interesting question. I don't know, but I would definitely give it a go.
Yeah.
There are, I think, around 300 million Chrome OS machines out there in the wild. Now, keep in mind, most of them are used by students and in managed clouds. Once they shift over to Aluminium OS, it might be an interesting market if you have an educational type of app or something similar. But otherwise, they're kind of sort of low value customers. So even if you want to run it in a virtual machine for whatever purpose you are deeming fit, unless you are in a very specific sector, your client base for that specific OS is going to be super constrained. So it's one of those like, make a software for FreeBSD. It's like, why?
My interest in that is so that because nowadays a lot of applications are really crappy on the web applications, but the mobile apps are the ones where they put all their attention and they're much better. So just as a consumer, and I hate using the little phone keyboard, so as a consumer, I'd love to be able to do Android on my laptop.
There are a couple of ports, like desktop ports. I think I don't know if that's open source though, but Samsung had a desktop version of Android. And there are multiple ports for that, yeah. You can look into that.
Yeah,
of course.
which is the same.
Intelligent eyewear, Gemini-powered smart glasses are also coming. Meta glasses were a hit. People like them, so Google is dipping their toes in that once again. And we can move on from there. Oh yeah, Gemini Omni. One model to do everything. Like they say that it's supposed to do everything. And from experience, if something is supposed to do everything, it will do nothing correct. So yeah. But Steve has demonstrated, I think it was today, right? It was like a very short 10-second video, claymation of explanation how AI works. Honestly, if that character consistency can be kept, it was not bad. It was kind of cool, not gonna lie. But yeah, good point, Gemini Omni. I don't know why, when, and how I would use it, to be honest. But yeah, I guess we'll see. The problem with Google's ecosystem in general is that you have to use whatever they give you. So if they give you Flow, you have to use Flow. If they give you Stitch, you have to use Stitch. Otherwise, you are paying incredibly high amount of money for their models through API access. One good thing about Google is their Vertex, I think it's called, AI Studio. It is actually not bad. And if you want to build apps that are AI native, if you want to build a product that is AI native, it's a good entry point. It allows you to use various different models, not just Google's. And yeah, it's a good stepping stone, even when we look past the app and more into the fine tuning and adjusting the LLM to actually work the way we want it to work. Well, let's move on from Google. Claude for small businesses. This is not a new pricing tier, no new model. It's basically just expansion of the ecosystem. So if you're already with Anthropic and you have a small business, this is basically just a free upgrade. Again, the posture is the same with Anthropic. They're clamping down on everything external. And for the internal ecosystem, they're trying to make it as easy as possible to use their products. Now they're attacking the small business sphere and small business and adjacent verticals. They're allowing you to work with QuickBooks, and I think that was like Canva, DocuSign, Google Workspace, Microsoft 365, all of those things that previously you had to take a plugin, connect it, and kind of find your way of doing things with it. Now they wrapped everything in workflows, wrapped everything in very specific and carved out experiences. So let's say I want to make an invoice, make me an invoice. It will automatically execute the full workflow that deterministically makes an invoice for a specific client. So for those who are using Cowork, it is kind of an upgrade. I would say even a big upgrade. And these are, quite frankly, and possibly the numbers that they were basing it on, 44% of the US GDP is held by small businesses, but only 7% of them have a deep AI adoption. When we're talking deep AI adoption, we're moving past the regular chat box and, oh, I need to find information about X, Y. It is actually integrating it into your business's day-to-day. So this is the gap that they're trying to reach and breach. And it's quite a lot of money. Like if they succeed, good on them. But in this sphere, they actually have quite a lot of competition because most of us who are building stuff, we're building stuff for small and medium-sized businesses. Some of us build for enterprise, but again, most of us are focusing on smaller clients, on simple SOPs, on simple workflows, and this is where we are at. So they're actually going actively into war with us, their users and consumers, which is kind of meh. But that was going to happen either way.
It's happening in Facebook too.
Oh yeah.
When Facebook start to have their own, AI, you just put your ad, and the AI will do everything for you. So it's against people that run the ads for the businesses.
Oh yeah, big time. And fun fact about Meta actually has a second brain. And not one, they have thousands of them. And they're using the actual neural activation patterns to just determine if your post, your video or reel or short, activates the correct portions of the brain that make it engaged. It's a very fascinating and fun thing that kind of can kill your post the moment you press post. But it can also like shoot it up and make it viral. So it will be very funny because that profession will not go away. But you will have to optimize for the barrier rather than for the user, which is a super complicated and complex way of thinking about the problem of how do I get my ad out there. So yeah, fun stuff. The landscape is changing super fast, like literally every week. So we just have to kind of sort of, be updated. Codex. Codex goes on-prem, deal partnership, and they are shipping their own Windows sandbox. It's very interesting. OpenAI and Dell have announced that they're creating an AI data platform plus an AI factory. It's their first explicit hybrid on-prem move. Codex basically connects to whatever you have internally, documents, business systems, etc. And it will run directly in the enterprise. I mean, that's, I think, their main target, to be embedded deeply into enterprise. This is not that much of a surprising move because last week we had the FDE announcement of forward deployed engineers and the entire sections that are currently being established, because at the end of the day, they kind of realize that AI is cool, but you still need a human-to-human touch because, you need someone to actually go through whatever the people actually need to do with AI, modify it, configure it, and actually manage it and upkeep it. So it is what it is.
It says 4 million plus weekly developers, but
Yes.
that's a turnkey hardware and software system. They haven't sold 4 million boxes already, right?
It is more about the exodus from Claude ecosystem. So Claude ecosystem actually saw a little bit of a dip in terms of developers. It doesn't really affect their financials because they're not, like, we as developers are not their main source of income anymore. So they don't really care anymore. And everybody migrated to Codex.
So that's not connected with the Dell.
No, that's not connected with it. Windows Sandbox from scratch is kind of funny. They published an engineering blog in which they explained that they basically rejected every other solution that is there on the market because it didn't solve their problem. None fit the let agent operate like a developer posture that they adopted. And when you think about it, who does this remind you of? It's literally from the mouth of Peter, creator of OpenClaw. If you have an agent on a system, you need to be able to let it do whatever, like let it be free. So yeah, they are creating their own token restricted sandbox from scratch. It would be fun. I don't know if they're going to open source it, but it would be fun to play around with it because Windows is unfortunately kind of hard to optimize for from the agentic systems perspective. But at the same time, if you want to penetrate into corporations, that is the number one in terms of operating systems. So if you have a cool app for macOS, that's all good for a specific target audience. But all of the big corporations, all of the laptops, all of the desktop computers, everything out there is Windows. You have to adjust yourself to Windows. What?
Sorry, just talking about the stop.
Yeah, no worries.
So the Windows Sandbox, is that like a software application that runs on a Windows machine, isolated from
Yes,
the outside?
exactly.
As like a container or a VM?
Yes. It is a specific iteration of a container that is specifically made on Windows, so you can let the agent have full access whilst not actually screwing with the kernel and the internals
Do we
of
have
the
anything like
system.
that on Mac OS or Linux, other than containers and virtual machines? That would be kind of cool.
NVIDIA has OpenShell.
That one is an interesting one because I looked into it and they based it off of a 2-year-old repo that was not updated for 2 years, which kind of made me sus. Yeah, which kind of made me like, oh. But yeah, I think it's called NanoClaw.
Yeah.
So their NanoClaw thing is basically built around OpenShell, I think it was called.
Yeah, OpenShell was trying to help, it's for the enterprise solutions to sandbox it in as well. So.
It had a layer of guarding against prompt injections. It has like various different knickknacks and settings that you can fine tune so it gets a little bit more safe. It's not the perfect solution, but it's quite a good solution. You don't have to slap on like 17 layers of middleware between the agent and the open internet. It basically comes in a very kind of easy to use box in which you can run the agent.
You know, what's funny is Windows is so freaking fragile, and releasing an agent on that, your machine could just die in like less
Oh
than
yeah,
5
easy.
minutes.
It's one registry key
Yeah.
edit away from literally dying. So it's not robust at all. This is why for most of these apps that are AI native and AI focused, when you take a deep look into that, they always ship first on macOS. That's always the first release target. The second one, Linux. And third one, if ever, is Windows. If you can check the release schedule of Claw Desktop, I think it was on macOS for a year before it reached Windows. And even then, it automatically comes with a VM because you can literally screw the entire system with one registry key, swap or change. So it's super fragile. I do agree. It's definitely not built for the agentic era.
Can you run models from other vendors on Windows Sandbox other than OpenAI models?
It is a sandbox, so you can literally put anything you want there. But the general idea is that we don't know right now if it's going to be open source or not. So that's a little bit iffy. We're not sure how, when, and what shape it will land on. TanStack was attacked as most of the, not most, but I think about 360 packages were infected with mini Shai-Hulud. Please be on top of that. It's not a very nice thing to have in your system. The moment you try to scrub it away, it basically just removes your entire file system. Like RMRF, root, done, all of your files gone. So it's not a good thing to have on your deployment. It's not a good thing to have on your personal computer. Be on top of this. There are a couple of sources, I'll share them in the chat after the meetup, where you can check for these security vulnerabilities. If something like this happens, try to patch it as soon as possible. Lock your files, as Steve says, so you have locked versions of a specific NPM packages, so you don't automatically update to the latest. Previously, it was always about always update, like the sudo update is the number one thing you do every single time. We're not in that age anymore. You have to have locked and secure packages if you're developing an app, period. This is only going to get worse. It's not going to get better. One cool thing, Codex Mobile. If you haven't noticed, you can do a remote session. It works through your ChatGPT app in your phone, and you can connect to an active instance of Codex remotely. It works kinda okay. It kinda connects sometimes. I actually had personal experience with it, and it's kind of running fine, you know, when I'm at home and I have to go to the bathroom and, you know, just prompt on the way, because like otherwise it's just time lost, right?
You code in the bathroom?
Well, yeah. There is a saying in Slovak language for this, but it translates poorly into English. But when I tried to do the same thing when I was at a restaurant for a dinner, it actually somehow tripled my tokens. So I was getting everything 3 times. It was unreadable, it was bad, it was just, my connection was fine, everything was okay, but it kept reconnecting in the background in some sort of weird loop. So it is shipped, but from what I have learned, it is very much vibe coded. So take it with a grain of salt. It is doable, it's just not a 100% solution. But yes, you can operate Codex now remotely from your phone. XAI. It's another player on the market in the AI space. If you're using Grok, the latest Grok was apparently not that bad. And they're actually shifting towards Hermes and towards better operation with the Hermes dataset. That's going to happen, I think, in the next month. So if you're running an agentic system and you're running it on Grok, good for you, you will have a better model very soon. But in practicality, this change means that whatever was true a week ago might not be true a month from now, especially when it comes to usage, pricing, and all of the other things in this space. SpaceX, however, has amazing data center and an amazing compute. They have the capabilities to run these AI models quite efficiently, not like us with the electricity here, but they can run them quite efficiently, and they're optimizing towards the agentic use. So they will very soon become a very major and a very respected player on this market.
But isn't Anthropic joining with them already?
No, Anthropic has only purchased a part of the, well, XAI invested a little bit of compute towards Anthropic.
So not all.
Not all, of course not all. They are the number one in like the amount of compute in the entire AI space.
220,000 GPUs, right?
They have a ton, and I would assume that most of them are underutilized.
I heard that I think Musk made them stop the usage after 30 minutes, after 5 hours, and now Claude with $20 can run all day long with no breaks.
I mean, it depends on what you do with it. And this was always the case. If you are having a conversation and you're basically, think about it from a perspective of a regular conversation with sparse tool calling. It means it researches something every 3 turns. that's not going to consume that many tokens. So your context window size will fill out in an hour, let's say. So if you're running an agentic system, you will fill out the same 200,000 tokens in 3 minutes. So $20 plan lasting you for a full day is a very subjective experience. For example, in reality, we have a little bit more usage with Codex and OpenAI, and I can still fully go through a $200 plan in like 2-3 days, easy. And I would possibly go even faster. And eventually I will go even faster. So it's a very subjective experience, and it very much matters on what you are doing with the model. But yes, from the face value, they kind of doubled the limits that they currently had. But it's sort of an inflation play in a sense that they kept cutting the usage, and now they give you double. So it's pretty much on the same level that it was 6 months ago. It's like when they tell you the inflation is just 2%. Like, yay! But it was 20 like for 2 quarters before, so not very good. Grok 4.3 pricing and API access is very cheap for now. It's unclear if it's going to stay that cheap, but if they can enhance this with the dataset from Cursor, which they have their hands on, they will actually have a very good dataset to post-train on in terms of tool usage and the agentic workflows. And if that's the case, $250 per million tokens for a considerable frontier model is actually not that bad. $25 a month in free credits. It's their free tier if you sign up. It might change, so don't take it as granted. And I think we covered this last time. This is a fun thing where they actually charge you 5 cents if you breach terms and conditions in terms of safety rules. Not only they consume the actual cost of the prompt, but they actually bill you because you try to do something that is against the TOS. Which, I mean, if you are doing this, like, what are you doing with your life? Grok is unhinged. It allows you to do anything. So if you get safety blocked by Grok, reevaluate your life choices. Okay? Gaussian splattings. It's the JPEG moment of the visual creation. So we didn't really cover Gaussian splatting at all on these meetups, and I think that's a shame because it's actually mind-blowing. It's super cool. Instead of creating this pixel-based mesh and creating an image out of that, you can take this splat, and the splat can have multiple shapes. I'm gonna go to the board to actually better show what it is. That's someone's startup idea just vanished. So, normally when you generate images with AI, it's basically a diffusion pattern. So it makes a bunch of dots, and then it decides like, okay, so this dot is good, this dot is good, this dot is good, and it keeps regenerating. And eventually you get an image. So that's the basic way of doing things. Now, when you train Gaussian splats, you give it an image, and it basically starts painting. Let me take a different sharp for that. It starts painting. Very similar to how when you paint with a stroke, it actually generates a certain point in frame. Now, one of the problems when generating AI video and generating AI images is to get the lighting right. Because sometimes the light is going from this direction, needs to generate the shadow over here, and it changes the color. And color is the most interesting aspect of Gaussian splats. Because normally, when you look at me, you're not seeing me, you're just seeing a reflection of the color of my skin that is projected by the light. And Gaussian splats work in a very similar fashion. What they do is they take one base color, whatever is the hex code for that. They take one of these colors, and then from that space, they are able to adjust that color and that palette depending on the point of view and depending on the light that is hitting the object for that particular splat. And because Gaussian splats, they look like photorealistic 3D images, but in reality, when you zoom in very, 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 very deep into that 3D image, you will see it's just a bunch of strokes. Those strokes are objects. Those objects get a color, and depending on the angle from which you're looking at them, they change colors. And because our perception of an object is effectively just a bunch of colors that form shapes, that is how we view a Gaussian splat. It's an incredibly amazing technology, and you can get started quite easily and quite fast. What you need to do is basically create a scan of an object. So you take your phone, I think there is... I have it on the other slide. There is even an app on your phone where you can literally just go around an object. You will scan it from multiple angles and from multiple sides. It will generate this 3D-like render of the object that has been spliced from multiple different angles and multiple different viewpoints. And that generated object, once the Gaussian splat has been established, or like the mesh has been established for it, you will have that object and you can place that object anywhere. It works tremendously well if you are doing anything with augmented reality, or if you are kind of putting together a scene using Blender or using any of the video generation software out there. It is incredibly fast. It reaches over 100 frames per second on a consumer hardware. You can literally run the process on your MacBook, and you will be able to generate photorealistic 3D scenes to actually move through. There are a couple of companies on the market that are actually adopting this technology. I think the most immediate one that you can all picture without me actually showing you anything would be Zillow, where you can literally go inside the house. So if you want to sell your house, you want to rent an apartment or do something like that, normally a person would actually want to go there and see the place, right? So right now you can just go around with your phone, up and down. Usually it takes, 5 minutes to generate enough content to train the model for the Gaussian splat. Splatting? What is the correct term? Splatting. So there are a couple of solutions out there on the market. There is even something, it's called Scaniverse, that can get you up and running in like 90 seconds. Just use it on small objects first. It's a fun thing. We are not going to get really in-depth into it, but it's important that you know about its existence, because we are going to see more and more of this. It is something that can go very fast in a very short amount of time, and some things that usually took like a full night of rendering can now be done in a heartbeat. So if you are into video, if you are into generating ads, if you are into any of this, this is the baseline. And very soon we are going to form a group for everyone who wants to get into this, wants to exchange notes on how they're doing these things, how they're doing ads, how they're doing video editing, image generation, etc. So that will be the place to actually go a little bit more deeper into this. But for now, just the sheer fact that you know about it is good enough.
Well, we also solved water and Chrome.
Reflections and everything, and even transparency, which is incredible. There is this YouTube channel called Corridor Crew. they're just great. So yeah, it goes in spots. AI is replacing IT departments. General Motors has fired 10% of their IT department, and honestly, I don't know how I feel about that. There are certain industries where I'm not sure that AI writing XYZ amount of code is a good thing. And certain things possibly never should be like this, especially things where in the previous era, there were like 17 layers of verification until something went into production. Right off the bat, in my hometown, actually not my hometown, but the next one over, Goodyear has a facility that supplies the software for every major European manufacturer of cars for airbags. If they lay off 10% of their staff, I would be worried. Because I know for a fact that they are running 0.00002 milliseconds difference in the response time of their software actually is a difference between life and death. So I don't know how I feel about that. If Snapchat lays off 50% of their staff, like, okay, who cares? Like, it's a software company. Like, worst case scenario, your pics will leak. Yay. Or boo. I don't know. But some of the things I'm not quite sure about the layoffs specifically.
What does the IT department include? Is it really the software development, or is it just like administrative applications that their office staff uses, that kind of thing?
That is a good point and a good question. I don't know.
Probably all encompassing. But this is a much bigger problem. Because there's so much AI slop being generated, because companies are laying off and relying on prompt engineers to engineer things. It's compounding thousands of lines of code that nobody can ever read or understand. And if you don't even have an engineering background, but you're a good prompter, it's dangerous. And in things like this where life or death matters, I think we're going to see in the next year or whatever, a lot of the seniors and other people getting hired back to unslop everything that was just generated. So, but that's just my random overall view of everything. Even as I code and don't look at code anymore, but still, it's like,
Yeah, but
it's a big issue.
again, the stakes matter,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Sure.
And some things like aviation engineering, in my opinion, like
Well,
a vibe coder has no place there.
Yeah.
But certain CEOs will see AI as an efficiency boost and say, oh, we can lay off 10% of our staff. Look at the savings, because they're a publicly traded company. So this is going to be a problem going forward, for sure. Snapchat cuts 25% of their staff. Coinbase cuts, I think, 15% of their staff. So the layoffs are happening en masse, especially in the IT sector. It's a good point. Like, we don't know. It might be some like middle-level PM that was just forwarding emails or something similar. It might be, how would I put it, just excuse to fire certain people. We don't really know, but these are the news that we are getting. And software developer employment rate for ages of 22 to 25 has dropped by 20% since 2022. So we're definitely having less juniors, which in turn will make less seniors. It's a threat and an opportunity, especially for a small business. If you're in the low risk sector, I mean, you can kind of vibe code any app or any website. Anything that you previously needed $3,000 to $5,000 for is currently available to you for a price of $200 if you are verbose enough to tell the AI what you actually need. But yeah, this is the new reality. Anthropic is making a bunch of cash. Their revenue run rate climbed above 30 billion, which is up from 9 billion last year. Customers who are spending 1 million and plus annually has doubled from 500 to 1,000. Wow, in just 2 months. So yeah, once they hit the market, they're already going to be a $3 trillion company. So it's more or less going to be a power play. If there is an IPO, don't invest in them, to be honest. Like, there is no money to be made for small investors. It's more of a power play for big players to own a chunk of something that is considered a key infrastructure, which is also a fun thing and something that I've caught about the US, and I think it was Utah in specific, where they tried to, or not tried to, it actually went through to establish a data center there. None of the local population wants it there. It's going to cost a lot of money, consume more power than the state consumes per year, and increase the jobs by 0.07%. So not a lot of benefits. It will pretty much screw up the ecosystem because all of the data centers produce a ton of heat, and that's not very good for local environment and local.
Hot desert too.
Yeah, I mean, it's going. The study that was made said, and like, take this with a grain of salt because I'm just parroting someone. The study that was made said that the night temperature in a huge radius around the data center is going to raise by 28 degrees Fahrenheit.
28?
Yeah,
It's only-
Fahrenheit.
It's only in the valley, so it's in a
Yeah.
specific valley, like a long way away from any populated areas, so it'll only raise the temperature in that valley.
But still,
So it won't affect the rest of the state immediately.
but still,
Where nature lives, right?
yeah, like, screw
What
it.
would that do for weather patterns? I mean, it's sensitive.
Yeah, there's a lot of like smaller cities that are close to these centers that are feeling the effect. And then the power grid is not very
Yeah.
sustainable, period.
Yeah, in general, we are very happy with AI and that we can work more efficiently. But going forward, especially if we are not optimizing, not us specifically, but the big players, if they're not optimizing for how many tokens we are burning, we are actually physically burning something when we are prompting. So we have to keep that in mind. Be sort of kind of mindful of that. I'm not saying that you shouldn't go fast or you shouldn't go aggressive, but if there is a way to optimize, try to optimize.
I can't imagine that fossil fuels would even come close to providing the increased amount of energy we're going to need for this.
Oh, it's mostly water dams. It's hydro and nuclear that has to power it. Hydro is possibly the best because it can produce electricity plus cooling at the same time, but it consumes a huge amount of water. You have to divert rivers and everything. It's kind of bad for environments. I'm not gonna lie.
We're trying to think of, NVIDIA is trying to push for small nuclear plants for data centers.
Fun fact: Rolls-Royce is actually the closest one to creating these small nuclear reactors, and they have been on it since I think 2015.
What about solar?
It would last like 20 minutes.
Really?
The
Just
problem
battery
is, yeah, the problem is that solar is okay during the day, but you need to keep it running 24/7, and the amount of batteries that you would have to create, in turn, uses a ton of fossil fuels and rare earth minerals to actually create them. There is an interesting study into batteries, and if you're into that, it's basically silica-based, so it's sand-based batteries. They're big, they're bulky, they're less efficient than the actual lithium-ion cells, but they're very promising for especially these applications where you need to store huge amounts in massive power banks. And they're also non-explosive. They have been developed in China, and currently they're undergoing testing. If everything goes well, the application is for large data centers, solar grids, and for trucks, believe it or not,
For storing the energy like a battery or generating the energy?
for storing. for storing. It's not a problem to generate, but you have to account for the fluctuation. So with solar, you're generating just a couple of hours a day. What happens during the night? What happens if the current is not consistent? Like you have to have a buffer in between, regardless.
This is the reason why they go to space, because there is no night in the space, and there is
Yes.
no heating in space.
Yes, but there is also radiation in space.
Radiation is good. It's energy.
It is good, it is energy until it actually starts to screw with your electronics. I mean, so there are different problems and different issues to solve in space.
Well, there's latency.
Elon Musk is planning to put it in lower orbit. Not where all the other
That's-
satellites are, so you have less of those issues. And I think
And-
that his plan is that he is gonna put all of his AI-based infrastructure in like satellites that are floating above.
You know how much debris is floating around out
Yeah.
there?
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah,
we're
exactly.
already, we see like Starlink satellites coming out of the sky, and it's just, it's.
Fun fact, there is a massive market if you want to get into it. There is a massive market observing the space debris. If you have an array of land-bound satellites or tracking devices, telescopes, you can actually start generating a data set of live tracking of a space debris. Even the smallest speck is a data that someone is willing to pay for. Because people are ejecting satellites pretty much daily nowadays. So they very much need to know where the space debris is at any given moment in time. And it's actually a business, and I've talked to a couple of people who are generating these telescopes, these systems, here in Thailand, funny enough. And yeah, it's a massive market. It's a massive market. If you want to get into something like this, definitely give it a go. GitHub repos that are definitely worth mentioning. Matt Pocock and his skills. It's basically an amalgamation of various different skills that some of them we already been through. It's everything in one place. He has Caveman, Grill Me, Diagnose, and all of these funny and interesting bits and pieces that actually make your life with AI way easier. Give it a go. If you don't run any skill packs right now, this is a good place to start. If you're developing, there is Osmani skills, also a very good place to dip your toes in. Supoclip is a GitHub repo that is basically a big middle finger of someone who was fed up with OpusClip. And we are going to see this behavior happening more and more. Someone sees something that is subscription-based, it is very cool, might as well do it myself. Don't expect full functionality of OpusClip, but if you are on the budget, you can get this for free, and it runs with your, it's basically bring your own keys, so kind of works, Dogra. Dogra is, again, an open source alternative to Twilio and alternative to Vapi. Basically, it's a drag and drop workflow editor meant for phone calls. If you need to create a bot that is answering customers' requests and going through any of the inbound, outbound communication, and you need to actually call a customer, could be a good place to start. Again, because it's open source, just fork it, clone it, do whatever you want with it, modify it and adjust it to your needs. And last but not least, Vmax. What up?
What kind of hardware would you need for that then?
Oh, if you want to run it fully locally, you would need your own subscription for the parsing, which needs to be kind of fast. So like Gemini 3.5 Flash would be right in that ballpark. The TTS and STT, you can quite comfortably run locally, like even on any MacBook, any laptop. It's good enough.
So you access Gemini on the cloud? It wouldn't be
Yeah,
on the
basically the way it goes, because it's a phone call, it needs to be able to react. So it needs to take the voice input, transcribe it, process it, generate speech from the output, and then reply, somewhat in the real time. So the latency needs to be very low. The biggest bottleneck in all of these systems usually is the LLM step. Because text-to-speech goes very fast. Whisper 3 Turbo, Parakeet, even on a consumer hardware, we're not even talking GPUs, you are reaching like 15x, 20x real-time speed. Every 20 seconds means 1 second of processing, and our speech is a text. Transcription, easy. Text-to-speech, usually on the consumer hardware in the ballpark of 3 to 10x, quite comfortably reachable. Whatever is the text, in like 10 seconds of speech equals like a couple of seconds of processing time. That's not that hard. The problematic part is the LLM part, because you need to have some sort of reasoning, some sort of processing of the transcribed text from the yes. So normally you would go script based and you would kind of skip the LLM step and try to create a workflow and a work tree of whatever is that the human has actually replied and into which bracket it actually falls. So think your regular banking app. Hello and welcome to it's an audio text box effectively. But if you want to make it sort of a real-time-ish, you actually need to process the output via LLM, and that can get pretty costly because you need to go super fast. You don't need the best model on the market for it. You need to connect it to the correct data sources, and this product actually allows you to do that. So if you have like a company script for sales calls, or you have some documentation because it's customer service, and people are calling you, what do I do with my product? It's automated. It's cool. It's self-hosted.
Speaking of script, speech to text, can you use Whisper to create something like Mac voice dictation on a Linux or Windows machine?
Oh, absolutely. Super easily.
Would it be as good?
Oh yeah, big time.
It's very good.
It's very good.
Voice text is one direction.
Yeah.
From the voice to text.
Yeah.
From voice to text, I'm actually running everything on Linux.
Is there already some kind of package that does that somebody's already like put all together? Or?
Oh, it depends what's your Surface device. Like
The parrot thing, what is it?
the Parakeet for Mac, which is Mac to Mac. If you have a Linux machine specifically, I don't know about any that is like a Surface-based app, because I'm usually interfacing from.
You'd want to be able to put the text in any kind of text box, like a web browser, text input field. Or
Try modifying. Well, actually, build your own. Yeah, build your own. It's probably the easiest path. The only thing that you need to work with is accessibility and the ability to basically control V whatever is in the clipboard. So the pathway is you input text through speech. So you hold the key, you dictate, goes into the Whisper, and the output gets injected into the clipboard. And wherever is your active cursor or like your active area, the only accessibility thing that you need to work with is that it presses virtually Control V to paste it. And that's it. That's the entire flow. It's not that hard. You can build it in 20 minutes probably.
you're kind of flooding the
On a Linux machine,
Yeah.
the drivers, you need to make sure you have drivers too. Luckily, we don't have drivers for audio. It's a very common problem with Linux.
That's a given. Vmax, if you're creating ads, it runs the entire agentic flow of screenwriter, producer, and video generator all in one. You have to bring your own keys for this, but it's kind of cool. I only seen demos of it, but my girlfriend's gonna play with it next week, so we'll see what actually comes out of it. Usually the biggest problem when you're generating a video, especially if you need to splice many individual clips together, is that you are lacking the storyboard. You know what's going to happen in your first video, but how does that influence the next one? This helps you go through the process of actually generating, let's say, a 30-second, 1 minute, 2 minute long video where every scene matters and the transitions are normal. as they would happen with a regular camera shoot.
And does that do with the story, the storyboard too? It's like generate the storyboard?
I don't know. Again, like I played just with I didn't play even with, I played the demo. So I don't know the semantics of it, but it's something that popped up. And it's something that, again, my girlfriend is in marketing, in all of this kind of stuff. So she'll play with it. I'll let you know next week if you want. But for now, it's something that I didn't know about. Now I know about it. Might as well share it.
The grill me skill is kind of interesting.
The grill me, yeah.
It'll ask you a lot of questions and dig down before it actually starts doing shit.
It's effectively a boiled down spec kit from GitHub. It's what my assessment, when I played with these skills, that was my assessment of it. But I only kept a couple of them, to be honest.
I mean, that's the thing. You can look at these skills and modify it or have your AI make it better or whatever. You don't have to necessarily use it, but it's a good boilerplate to start with. And if you don't want to build your own, it's good. But I always like to recreate it just in case there's some weirdness.
There is also a case for agentic systems. You shouldn't feed all of the skills into one agent. If you're running OpenClaw, Hermes, or whatever, try to split it up. Try to make it a little bit more focused on a certain area. And that goes for skills, connections, plugins, MCPs, everything. Because you can very, very, very easily overload the agent where it will get confused because it has two primitives that are solving for the same thing. And at that stage, you are removing the determinism. You are putting skills there to make the model more deterministic, to make it more aligned with what you want to do. And if you are just shoving the skills left and right because, oh, it's cool, let me get this, let me get that, suddenly it has everything. And when you tell it, make me a video, it has 17 skills of making a video. Which one will it choose? You are not in control anymore. So you can't be mad if your result sucks, despite you having all of these amazing skills. So try to split it up so at least the primitives of the individual flow that you want to achieve stay separate. Very easy hack, if you are not using Hermes, OpenClaw, etc., is file system. Because skills are bound by the hidden folders. You have .claude, you have .codex, you have .opencode, whatever you're using. Make one folder that will be video generation. And in that video generation folder, you will have all of the skills that are necessary for video generation. Another folder will be for coding. And that becomes your kinda sorta agent. All it takes is go to that folder and actually initiate your Claude or your codex from that particular folder. And that's the easiest way of how you can make something that is akin to an agentic system, very rudimentary, very minimalistically in your system, even today or tomorrow. So, what do we do this week? What do we play with? I'm definitely gonna try Claude for small business because I'm at a stage where I actually need to start solving for invoicing and all of this shebang. So I'm gonna see how far it can take me. Get some of the, or all of the Matt Pocock skills. He's a clever dude. Like I watch his videos and stuff. He's a clever dude. So he knows what he's talking about. Get them, play with them, modify them to your liking. Try a Gaussian splat. Easiest way, download the Scaniverse. It runs the generation of the actual Gaussian splat mesh directly in your phone. It takes very little time and just play with it. Try it with something like a glass or something, just to get the feel of the technology. Because the underlying technology is what matters in this case. And you having a knowledge of how it works will serve you to a great benefit going forward. If you have time, watch what the Google actually has to offer. They went through it pretty nicely. I watched it on 1.5x speed because I literally can't take all of this CEO bullshit that they always spewing and like how they're making the best thing after the sliced bread. But there is some interesting information in there, especially with regards on how the Google Spark agent will work. Think of it as of the alternative of Perplexity personal computer or something similar. If you're already in the Google ecosystem, you have your Gmail there, you have photos there, you have documents there, you're using the Google suite, it's gonna be freaking amazing for you. Especially if you're not worried about your personal data. It's gonna rock your world. If you worry about that, self-host. And if you're on XAI, if you're using Grok in production or in your daily flow, prepare a fallback. Turbulence is inevitable. It's going to happen. The dissolution of XAI doesn't necessarily just mean moving from point A to point B. There's going to be a whole different C-suite level of executives, of people who want to achieve X and Y, of people who are actually in charge of making the stonks go up. So there's going to be some turbulence, be prepared for it, but also anticipate that specifically Hermes agent is going to get very good very soon because they will have the exact data set that they need to work with in order to make it the best. All right, that's it for the week. Thank you very much, guys. Right now we can just open up a convo. Thank you. And I'm gonna stop the stream, so thank you very much for everyone who joined us on our live stream. And that's pretty much it for now. We're going to break up into smaller conversations. It's going to be very loud here, so thank you very much. Have a nice day, and bye-bye.
Have you heard about the new model they're building by Miria Murati? The thinking machine?
Oh yeah, Thinking Machines. A startup that raised $12 billion didn't really do anything. They
Not to eat an apple or sugared food, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's like sometimes it's mind baffling, like how far can a company go without actually doing anything, raising obscene amount of money.
Magic Leap?
No, Thinking Machines.
They did do something.
Well, yeah. What?